The views expressed by our guests in the following video are solely the opinions of our guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and or opinions of the Ola 7 podcast show. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the Spotlight with Yvonne Mangunda, and as usual we would like to talk about sports stories and bring you sporting personalities. And in the last couple of weeks we've had focus on fans and brought you fans to hear their story, but today I thought let's take it deep. When I say deep, I talk about so far from where we are right now, because we are in the capital, Harare city, and today I decided to bring my guest all the way from Beitbridge. Dulibadzimu FC, to be precise. He's the brand manager for the team. Welcome to the show, Terrence, Mikael.
Thank you, Yvonne.
It's a long distance that you traveled. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah.
And when we had the conversation about coming on the show, it's obviously a long distance. What would you say pushed you to say, I might as well go in and do this interview?
All right. The whole idea is a brand manager is to try to market our club. Say Beitbridge. I don't think a lot of guys, they don't know a soccer team in Beitbridge. So I'm here. There is another culture there, which is vendor. So I know I'm not going to sort maybe that vendor is from South Africa, but we've got vendor people in Beitbridge as well. So one is a culture terrible.
So I should have started the show with Nda.
Yeah.
I heard Nda is for men, right? Yeah. Is for women, or it's vice versa. What did I do wrong?
It's all the same.
It's all the same.
Yes.
Okay, and talking about Beitbridge, it's so far removed, because you get a lot of people that come and complaining about their other towns. The focus is usually on the big cities. Beitbridge must be worse, because that's like a border town.
Yeah.
And let's talk about football in the town. What's it like? What's the situation like?
In short, I know Beitbridge, they like soccer. That Dulibadzimu Stadium at some point, like my big teams. So now the drive their wish to move in PSL. But with the number of factors and also affected with the promote, but our wish in the not out of the pace of like the likes of Dynamos, Wombo driver to Beitbridge and come Wombo experience how a lot of things,
The last time there was action PSL in Beitbridge was Border Strikers.
Border Strikers, yes.
And your team was formed in 2018.
2018, yes.
Let's talk about the formation. What brought about the start of Dulibadzimu FC?
What happened is, I think there are some individuals vakangotanga like like a social league. Then vakatozona kuti like mafana vangu varipo vanga sina zvokuita. They end up vakutanga kuya training. I think you still remember we've got Coach Stano. Right now he's an assistant to Luke Masomere in Triangle. Akatobva Border Strikers. That was last year. And he joined Luke Masomere, vari mu D1 for Triangle. Then they get promoted. So is the one angari driving the likes of the other player Aitambira Bishopstone. I think now Ashatambe Bora. Anonzi Mangere. Ndo vakangofoma that team. Then end up kutamba mu D2, yakuita followers and so on. So Pamba sina team. Because you still remember Border Strikers after I relegated, then Pamba sina team end up tani that Dulibadzimu. Then waninye kuti takuda bora. Afana vangu varipo, there was my under 19 and so on and so on. Then they get promoted from D2. Then my interest from the community. Yes.
I grew up partly in a small town, Kumvuri, and going to watch matches was like the highlight of the week. Is it the same, like where everybody just comes together? Because obviously football is a big sport in Zimbabwe, and for a small community, it might even be the highlight of the week.
Yes. You know, like border towns normally, akuna activity yakawanda. You know, like everyone is focusing on the border. There is no industry, actually. Munese sakanengara border, the cross borders and the clearing agenda. That's the main. So after that, my weekends apana kuenda. So kana pane bora, just tungongana as a community. Then tutanga kuona bora.
But that's a very simplistic way, but kubora kunoda mari.
Yeah.
And if you're a community team, what's the structure of this community team?
When we started, the structure like tai depend much nima contribution as a community. Yekuti tine group reda tinaro about 400 something members anengwarimo. So they contribute 100 rand, 20 rand and so on and so on. As you know, with Beitbridge, like currency yatinoshandisa near to South Africa, so we use marans. So tinge contribute 20 rand, 50 rand and so on. So at the end of the day, takaunganiza mari ndio yatinoshandisa to survive as a community. But no, as you go, brand ramba richikura. Saka uri kuona kuti isusu tavapo as mabrand managers and so on. Tarotry kuti no, that brand inofana kukura tisviko pane level yekusvika kuti takutanga ku attract a lot from our players, big names and so on. That's our drive. I think that's our vision.
And what does your executive look like?
Executive like there's a chairman, the vice chairman, the secretary general, the vice wake, na TG, and the committee members, including ASMA, brand managers, and so on. Then there is a brand ambassador who is in UK. It's another guy also from us. He's helping us financially to keep going.
I keep zoning on Yama finances because I know it's a major component in Zimbabwean sport. Because you're talking about Nyaye kuti mwakaunza 100 rand, mwakaunza 20, mwakaunza chi. But how do you sustain the club? Because if you've got players, you've got a technical team, it means somebody needs to be paid.
Yeah.
How are you sustaining the club?
That's why everyone. The reason why in that way are from Beitbridge too. Sometimes like you never know, those who are listening, sometimes they end up getting interested with okay, Beitbridge, there is this team, help. But my main drive, I say maybe to the Mari. The main drive and they would look as a town. Paninge singe susu like pana parichatamba bora. Pana wapfana warikuya from school. The panema rural areas like rural schools are mduze me Beitbridge. Wapfana yawa wana zokuita after school wapana zokuita. So at the end of the day, takaona no guys. Azvibatsire kuti sei kuti toita ma drug abuse campaign. We'll be wasting money. Go around pumping thousands of dollars saying msabate ma drugs on, but the major drive in ingiriponde kuti wapfana vanenge vasina zokuita. But takauya sport yakasupporta. Is rather kuti tore mari yetu support sport. Because munhu akaenda training kuseni Yvonne Muscat anoiwana up energy kugara pabridge. Because the next thing arifunga kuti mangwana have to go back and one. So ndosati kuti you have to commercialize sport. Sanye sinde kuti wafana vaya vakaita, then they go to mama clubs. Like recently takakwanisa kuendesa I think 2 guys last year but one kuti Anamos from Beitbridge. Then the other guy I think 2 guys last year again ku Triangle. Ndo vakatoita kuti Triangle to promote. I think maybe wakambona pane game rakatambwa Scotland in Triangle. This guy ainzi Munashe Bamara. That guy was our captain from Beitbridge. You know. Sa uruona kuti talent ringe ripo but ringe chida kusupport.
But then when we talk about Nyaye support, the obvious question would be, hamuna ombinga iri Beitbridge zingabatsire kuti this is a community team.
Yeah, mbinga dziripo like the other guys were to trials were kuita, but unoona kuti like vanenge vanotora ma challenges vanenge now. Because I will mention one of the guys anonzi Tinashima Bidi, like aka end up akagadzira soccer stadium in Beitbridge. One yekuti vanhu vatambire bhora. Munhu anenge achitoda bhora. But pane pamwe kuti anenge aitawo party yake agadzirawo stadium. Then there is another party inodawo vamwe kuti uyai then umboisawo mari yekuti vanhu vakwanise kutravela. Because the challenge with our team ndeyekuti we travel is kusvika kuna Gokwe. You know, how many kilometers? 2 days traveling notamba kugokwe. So ndopana nchiti sometimes I don't know how is in my region baka structure kuti how can team inobva ku Beitbridge inotravela kuenda kugokwe. Tinodarika no masvingo by the way. But masvingo iri kunziri ku Eastern.
This is why I wanted to ask Kuti, in case guys you're watching, and let me reiterate this, because this is a team in Beitbridge and it plays in the central region.
Yes.
Which means every time they're playing a game, they're traveling as far as Kwekwe.
Yes.
Gweru.
Yes.
You talk about Gokwe.
Yes.
I don't understand.
And then you add pane mvuma futi so ndiri kuti ini ndiri kubva muBeitbridge ndodarika nemasvingo ndoenda mvuma team iri mvuma iri kutamba muCentral but masvingo ikutamba muEastern. So at the end of the day traveling angu in my home games I think ndine 2. I think the other one like maybe inonzi Bishopstone. It's about from Beitbridge, I think 30 kilometers from Beitbridge. Only 2 teams. Then the unfortunate part pani imwe yateto wana yenzi Beitbridge FC. Itori community team iri muBeitbridge. But then nenyaya yekuti part yekuti pane affiliation inoda kubhadhara which is 3,900 kuti participate. So our neighbors vakatadza kubhadhara of some reasons. But then handikwanisi kucelebrate kuti no neighbor atadza kubhadhara then maybe ndasara ndiri 1/4 no. But kuti isusu vanhu vakawandisa vari muBeitbridge. I can't accommodate to all the players. It's more than 80. It's part of register 30. So what will happen to those guys like your Beitbridge FC? Vari kunza vachatambi. Vachaenda kupa faneva.
That means your budget is huge, hey? Because if you're literally traveling that far, it doesn't make sense. The structuring really doesn't make sense. Yeah. The placing really doesn't make sense. And the expenses also for a team in Division 1 don't make sense. Do you think with the league starting in April, are you going to be able to fulfill all your fixtures the whole season?
Yeah, definitely. Apana zvatinota. We have to. Like last year ndoza tikangoita takatongotravel but ndoza ndiri kuti sometimes the mode yatiri kushandisa I don't know like I said I think pane something chinofanira kuchinjwa because zvekuti tive nemaregion 4 yes we can have region 4 but anostraina mamatowns saka rather have that mode wekuti probably kumati south let's have that region ingeripo kana muchinzi mpsa muda kupindwa kana kuti 4 teams or 3 teams akaita maichi region yakaita division 1 like England kune ma-playoffs aripo you can do ma-playoffs qualify eko maybe paruda 4 kana pane 6 teams from other region toita ma-playoffs then kuenda best 4 because it doesn't make sense kuti ini ndo traveler ma home games like ma away games and traveler it's more than maybe 10 then pa Gwanda yes Gwanda over I think pari reasonable because Gwanda is much south and but my teams aripo papa ari Gwanda and Beitbridge mashomo.
But even I've questioned also even Gwanda yacho because Gwanda Pirates is playing in Central Region.
Yes, there is Gwanda Pirates, there's Blankets, West Nicholson, and Izedara P Gwanda. So many 4 teams. Adam Gwanda. Saka yes ari kutravela. So anjiri distance yacho manje vari kutravela ndakugoko. Woenda ku Midlands kwekwe I think tukaenda kwane Hard Rock. Then there is Tongogara, then inenzi Grand Tigers iri mkwekwezo. Tozoenda Mgweru na Chapungu, Sheshamu, MSU. Saka ma teams arosvika 8 atukuenda ku Midlands.
So I see situation here kuti you travel and you get there on match day in Makutamba because obviously we gotta factor in accommodation and stuff. Not to always strain a budget ka.
Yeah, we can't afford. Sa utomuka kana kuti my AM travel to Gweru kana even Kwekwe. Sandopa ndiri kuona kuti vamwe vanenge vane ma-advantages anenge vainawo because some of them like Shesham and so on they can afford because they are sponsored ma-companies. Sandopa muri kuona kuti if you look at it kuti ma-teams ari kupromotwa from a central ari kubva Midlands because like it's T1 Shesham Chapungu Tongogara and then toya Kwekwe United and yakazopromotwa saka panenge pane advantage. Saka at the end of the day apana zvatenge chita saka sport yatenge chiti isusu inofanira kucover muZimbabwe yese kusvika mati south and so on apana pairi kurepresent. Saka anongori ma-teams maybe central then toenda Bulawayo and so on in Harare like PSL yedu most of my teams yes ari muHarare.
So that means even aspiring for PSL because obviously a team would aspire to get into the PSL. Yes. But for you guys you'll be aspiring but at the same time you're thinking what a headache.
Yes.
Because the headache doesn't stop, huh? If you get in the PSL, it's even going to be bigger.
Totanga season April ba pararike. Because every day ninge tungori headache kuti what's going to happen. Let's say maybe my get taking zakasasvika patrukuda. Tichaita say that trip maybe atrukuenda kuKwekwe. You know, those are some of the challenges. Ndiri kuti maybe I would rather challenge kuti the model that we are using. Let's try to change. I'll give an example like the FARS in South Zambia in Rukamanga. I was elected in 2016, 2017 we amended the constitution. Boze akaona kuti hazvisi kushanda. zvinhu zvinofanira kushanda ndezvekuti isusu ma-under 17 and 19 they have to participate kunana COSAFA and qualify ku-AFCON. But wakati ever since Kamanga achinja that model, Zambia ma-under 17 I think akaenda COSAFA, then I think ma-under 20 vari qualify to World Cup. Wona saka because ma-provinces that 10 provinces akaita ane ma-administration andidya aita kuti bhora richinje. Saka zvinobatsira kuti tinofanira kubatsira ma-provinces ari pa-disadvantage kuti bhora redu riende mberi, because hazvibatsire zvekuti takaenda ma-under 17 wakada kubvunza kuti inonzi team list papai vanhu varubva uko. Find some of them is Rentals, Dynamos and so on.
Plus the last time we even had trials
Yes.
for age group.
Yes.
So you're basically telling a child that go Beitbridge kuti get on the bus on your own bill,
Yes.
come for trials. It's a different it's a difficult scenario. You almost feel like the child is disadvantaged. And apa tikutaura vamwe vana vari Beitbridge itori town,
Yeah.
but you're also covering surrounding areas in rural, even for the rural child.
Yes. Saka zvatotoita ma-rural areas ndeve kuti patinotoenda tinotorawo mwana, because kunotorawo mwana vari kuuya kutraining vari kubva ma-rural every day. Saka totovapa mari yekuuya kuzotraina, because isu tiri kuti we are believing kuti mwana ari kurural anofanira kuwanawo opportunity to play. Because last day pama-under 20 pane the other guy from Beitbridge from Dulibadzimu akatodedzwa kuno from under 20. I think it's Messi Gushero. Akauya, but you know the challenges ndekuti unotoona kuti mfana anorwa bhora, but then pa selection endapo unoona mfana hapsasipo.
Plus mfana anenge asingaonekwe futi as frequent as,
Yes.
for example, if you're an under 20 player for Caps United, an under 20 player for Highlanders, the chances of you making the team wagara stara ritori in the radar compared kune mwana arungoya randomly angoya kuma trials kubva ku Beitbridge.
Yes. Because utanga kuonekwa musi wacho wasvike, then a lot of guys will be asking, who is this guy? Wautoonekwa maybe training sometimes, sometimes wakaipa ma-trials 1 week haina tsorakidze zvazviri. But you have to keep on monitoring those guys kuti strength yake neweakness yake iri papi as a coach. So ndozvandoti you are challenging all those guys vanenge vari kuma-national team and so on. Sometimes you have to travel all the provinces.
Vanombouya here?
Andisati ndambona kana one. Even the national team coach andisati ndambomona. Tombosei ipapo maybe the Zifa itself kumbouya kumboappreciate the talent down there andisati ndambona.
Saka zvinogadzirisika sei manje? Because zviri kutangira ipapo pekuti even if you have issues, if people haven't seen them firsthand, how do they solve a situation that they don't really understand and have seen? Because pamwe munhu akamboona kana even kubva vana venyu vanotambira vari murural can appreciate and understand the effort that's being put. So takatarisa even in I had the Zifa president on the show, and that was the time when he was an aspiring Zifa president. And one of the things that he said was that he had learned from the Zambian structure, and it's something that he's hoping he can be able to bring. This was pre-election, so I don't know if it's changed after election, but it's almost tying to what you are saying, because Junopa advantage to kids that are that far.
Yeah.
Because before we started even the show, I spoke to you about Nyahe Guti. Guys, like even if you get invited, Guti, please come to Beitbridge and watch a match, you start thinking
The distance.
Yeah. And this is the same distance that players have to travel so that they can go and play.
Yeah.
But Takatarisa, the players, what is the understanding now? Do they really understand the problems that are there? Munomboita were my issues. Don't know my teams. One my issues. My players. I think I just strike. Maybe my players. A new structure. Are they paid? Are they paid players or it's passion?
Yeah, it's passion. That's the challenge. Panibambo utunaenda kuborote afana wangu. Look at this guy at triangle. He's now playing in triangle. Akwa babanapa. But ngasanya focus on nyemari. Focus on talent rako. Of course, even there you can give you money to sustain your own family yako. But it's difficult, I understand. Because the sport is a sport. We have to pay those guys. But what I'm saying is, opportunity ndo ya tukuti so apart from money, ngatimbo try to modernize our football. Afana wambona even I want to show appreciation yekuti maybe the Zifa president is in Beitbridge. Ngomona apart from money unongofeel okay, you are being recognized okay. Kuntorene club yakadaso. So not to power drive it, no guys, you have to work hard.
But are you also not then? Can we say you have the cream of Beitbridge? Because I'm thinking if I am a young man, there's obviously my dear Anitka Babuta. And on the other side, let's not forget Messina, anybody deals are not going to on the South African side. Have you had situations like that where players just say that just opt out and say Shinana ngoswera ndiripa board and chitamati?
No, vedu zvemubhodha, I don't think. But vedu ndezvebhora. Vakawanda zvemubhodha no. Because we try as much as to assist them. But I know guys uko kuchimbosiyana inako until such a time maybe you want to retire kuti uchade bhora, then you can come. Because like the community yakanakira pakuti sometimes ndipe kubatsirana. Kana retire munhu anogona kudedzwa certain company kuti auya umboshanda. Saka I don't think pangaite problem papa.
But amuna Beitbridge amuna company here. Amuna umboitawo here vanhu ndimi brand manager. Mune vanhu vakambo approach awo here, but my deals are umboya here. Maybe ema companies angori Beitbridge based.
Yeah, taka approach ma companies akawanda, matsamba takanyora akawanda. But the challenge now is uri ku approach a branch manager. Because head office a company area in Harare. Kunoitwa ma decisions acho. Saka at the end of the day apana zvinobatsira. Because a branch manager will say anenge ari willing to help. But then anongoti anowa forward the letter. Then later yaka forward that is it. So at the end of the day maybe panenge pane challenge kuti because hakuna industry inonzi maybe ma executive that the CEO chichi vari based in Beitbridge. Ungaitonzi ano that company inenge iri muHarare. But then chandongona kwanza ngo pam of the positive side ndekuti I appreciate utande. Yaka I think last year in Beitbridge yakavhura branch. Saka pawakamboya then you just approach them. Vakati no takutozonzwisa your challenge that you are facing, but for now we can sponsor chikupai ma kids yekuti mutambise bhora. Saka unoona kuti vanhu vachivanyowani unototi this is a relief from us. Tumbopfekawo I think they say we're wearing Viego as our kit change for 2025.
But I mean on an individual level, why did you accept to be a brand manager for the club? Club in America. What's in it for you?
Kufarira bhora. Because takatomboritamba kuchikoro. But hatinazosvika that level zvedu, but unongochifarira bhora because chinoitika ndechekuti paunenge uchibudawo pamba munhu ari panext pako iplay ebhora anouya achiti blaz so unongochiona machallenges. Saka pamwe pacho unongoti let me just help. Let me just sell this brand, market this brand, maybe probably one day. But I hope zvichaita.
So is this the only thing you do, or you have your own business or work or whatever other things you do on the side?
Yeah, I've got my own work. I work somewhere, like I'm a clearing agent by profession. Yeah, that's the industry that we have in Beitbridge. So saka tinenge chingoshanda tirimo, but whatever we get from there tongotafana.
Born and bred in Beitbridge or moved to Beitbridge?
No, from like ndakazvarwa kuKadoma. Kadoma ndo ndakazvarwa. Takatozoenda nebasa kuBeitbridge.
Zvarini izvozvo?
2008.
So from 2008, when did you join Dulibadzimu?
I joined Dulibadzimu executive last year. I joined last year.
And what has it been like for you since you joined?
A lot of challenges. Because like urikupinda mu executive ine zero budget. Uri brand manager to marketing inoda mari. But hapana zvonoita pampacho unogona kungobvisa yako ka. I don't wanna like
about market a brand very local, very
yeah. But pampacho unoona unenge ne drive yekuti isusu we believe in God. Whatever we do, hapana kwatino tito believe that no, we'll get there. Definitely pane zvichatoitika. I've got that feeling every day, and ndotozvinzwa there is that feeling. Pakatoya utande nditosign, I'm the one who signed that deal. Ndakatozvinzira kuti okay, I think this is the time now. I'm getting there.
I'm just trying to figure out, because I think in sport, Zimbabwean sport, there are a lot of unsung heroes, like people that are sacrificing, especially when you talk about Nyaye Grassroots. There are so many people that are sacrificing, putting so much into the game, yet they're not getting anything out of the game besides just the passion.
Inini zvangu maybe the way I understand football. Like pandatoya panda traveler andina chimwe chandiri kutarisira kuti maybe if I get something I know. But nyaya iripo, the drive iripo ndeyekuti pane munhu wandiri kuunderstand ari kumashure kwangu ane 7 years 8 years ane talent rekuti wakamuona achitamba bhora fana vari kuBeitbridge unotomboona kuti there's the talent. But then at the end of the day, if you don't support them, even if I get money today yekuti team, I'll simply go there. This is the amount yatawana guys. It's better to pay those guys handiti tipinde mpsl because the drive iripo ndekupinda mpsl.
But in PSL ndo pane imwe nyaya yandinoita nemateams anenge aine mazero budget kuti munezenge makuaspire kupinda muPSL. Amuzoita scenario futi yekuti you struggle even worse. We've seen if this past week there was a lot of talk about Kwekwe United. Yekuti yes, you've been promoted, but then the reality sinks in. Then now all of a sudden I have to travel to Harare, I have to travel to Mutare, I have to travel to Bulawayo, I have to travel long distance, Kariba for instance. Munozozvigona here.
And over kuti like isusu model wedu it's a 5-year plan and we are getting there, but nyaya inozonesa Kwekwe United I don't know, but nchandoziva ndechekuti maybe in a sponsor, like it's an individual also, I think from UK. So pambacho ndepekuti I don't know how vanozoita mastructures awakamira sei handiti because bhora chari wakamira uri wega ronetsa. Pambacho ndepekuti unofanira kutsvaga help from others to guys maybe help me on this one, but handizonzwisise zvangu since I'm not part of Kwekwe chichi. But from us isu tozoti as a community ndepekuti there are some guys vanenge vachiti no, sometimes division 1 as if you get promoted will come and help me handiti. But ndo panenge pane drive
mune the big boys.
Yes, so umwe munhu anoprefer kuisa mari achiona Dynamo Sunderland is coming to Beitbridge. Ndo vamosvo anoprefer. Saka ndosaka achiti isusu that is kuti isusu tofanira kugadzira foundation iri strong like from grassroots and so on and so on. Tosaka tiri kuti bhora redu isu totangira ipapo, but as for now manje ninyaya yekuti mari hapana and so on and so on, but tinoda help yekuti at least if you get up fana varipo yava vanditika vambobva mastreets mavari handiti vatambe bhora it's 17 18 chichi tivagurume from there then to feed. There's no point for me to come narando totenga maplayers in Beitbridge kwakazara more than 100 players tofanira kushandisa yayo.
But infrastructure yanyakamira sei takatarisa Dulibadzimu stadium, what's the state? Is it good? It's obviously good enough for D1. You're playing in D1, and if you have aspirations to be in the Premier Soccer League, what are you guys doing on that zero budget? Yes, but what are the plans? Are there plans in place? Or yeah, whenever it is that you guys get promoted?
Yeah, the plans are in place. And also, pane individual anonzi Tina Shamabid is building a stadium. Sapampacho nepekuti nemafaranda bora nekwari kuenda nestadium PSA standard inopasa. Because changosara maybe materials in the VIP section and so on. But zvimwe zvese zviri kuvakwa. Saka I don't think it will be a challenge for us in terms of the stadium.
Saka at the moment patone zviri kuitika ku Dulibadzimu stadium.
No, it's not
Dulibadzimu stadium.
Yeah, it's Ronnie's Arena. Inonzi Ronnie's Arena. Wakupinda from Masvingo wakupinda Beitbridge. There is a stadium.
So why not Dulibadzimu stadium?
And that one is a council owned. So you know netsa manje.
But wouldn't it make sense to then like have a long-term lease with council? It's not like council is going to have many options of people wanting to use that stadium.
Yeah, lease inona panoneza ndipekuti this guy mu individual anenge atori ne stand yake yakatwanda anenge achichi for it let me build a stadium. But maybe from us isusu kana tazoona mafans maybe you can toona usenda ku council. I don't think avangarambe for a lease, but pambacha I can't ita application elisi umuzoti mari yacho amuna. Yes, isinoku maybe zogondwa ne Scotland. Yeah, they can send a list for mabhuku and then those one. But I hope one day.
You hope one day mja. But it just takes one bingaga. Then achivunza kuti like never kuona, hopefully there are some sons that came from Beitbridge and all that, because sometimes I feel these community teams, only a person who's been in that town, lived in that town, experienced the situation in that town would understand why it's important to support a team like yours.
I think the executive need to sit down and to accommodate everyone. But sometimes pane mama structures ekuti munhu anogona kukwesena kuti like remember Beitbridge as a mixer there's Ndebele, Shona and Vend and so on. So sometimes you have to accommodate all those guys tiite chinhu. So ndo panenge pane challenge kuti it's a work in progress. Stapinda some of the things that I've realized guys, I think you have to go this way so that we accommodate each other kuti munhu ane ma views ake come and support because it's a community.
But then looking at it from a brand manager perspective, are they receptive to you as a brand manager and your role? Because we know some of these roles are relatively new in Zimbabwean sport. Yeah. Especially roles to do with brand management, media management and all that. Because before, people just used to do whatever they were doing. Yeah. But now you've got other factors that can even bring in attention to the club?
Ndosa anjiti pampacho the model that they are trying to kutora ndika. It's more like tingaiti western as such, but you know sometimes ine benefits aningena. Because unengo try to commercialize the sport. So kwatenge tienda you learn uchibvunza uchita sei because pane vamwe vanotenge chitobvunzawo but outside the country. Like I think the last time I sent you a message on Facebook pawamboita the interview na Mashogore. Yeah, that guy is a awful guy. Ndakangotaura night length. Tatombosangana mushawani by the way achita zvari kuitawo. Akatombonudza kuti I think this model you are using try to do this and this and this and that and all. But I hope one day I will meet Mr. Magwisi. That's my wish. Yeah.
You hope one day you'll come to Beitbridge.
Yeah, but I want to meet him. Yeah. Because you have to understand. Sometimes you one or two they want to look this model that you are using. Probably take one or two from there for the benefit of the sport.
But is it not maybe starting from you guys, maybe inviting him over if he agrees to come to Beitbridge and sees the scenario?
Okay. The challenge even like that position, needs a pakuti pavashika now panenge pane the PA and so on.
Protocol and stuff.
Yeah. So kutuwane a phone call. I think the last time ndakatombowana number. I tried to call the number ikaitonge iri busy. Then I send a message and I respond. I understand his position anenge ari busy and so on. Pambacho inenge iri new number and so on.
Plus the other thing is I can understand. Sometimes you get so many messages. I'm not even like a president of any sort. Yeah. I'm just, a person on social media with a platform, and you get so many requests from so many people because sometimes I feel like people then look at you and think, maybe if we approach this person, we'll find a solution. And then it becomes 20, 100 people having the same request. And sometimes you then don't know, where do I start? So hopefully one day you will get that platform to be able to talk about what you want to bring on the table. So what is the immediate and long-term plan for the club?
Right now, it's also maybe apart from the PSO, those are dreams. Yeah, we want to go, but throughout is also my structures they do like the grassroots football. In my way, the way you planned it, to find out get in my satellite clubs, my raw areas. To identify my schools, but then to identify my schools. So to run one or two to send that there to my schools that I train. But panibajida mari, like to send someone. Because some mama schools is about 50 kilometers from Beitbridge, 20 kilometers from Beitbridge, and take it out to identify talent there, especially up on our my 11 my O levels. So I'm after now in my 17, 18. So I'm fana kuya kwatiri. Then because I know not when you register pani 5 players wanenga from academy below 19 years. So ndo wana change doctor. Because right now wamataka tutora ndo wana chitaura the other one arutori ku triangle. Atokatopinda slot triangle ima juniors and so on. Saka pandorina mwana watoripo futi mwakatombodzwa last year. Saka zvinotobatsira kuti at least afana vanenge vachitoona opportunity vachikwanisa kuona exposure out there. Saka ndorora kuti bhara redu rinotangira kujunior level ndorora tiri kuda isusu. Tapana vakatanga from junior level then you graduate mbichana up to senior level. That's how I.
And long term plan.
Yeah, that's a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
And tutone patience kutodaro. So kutomirira.
But what's the most immediate? Zvirikudika izvozvo.
I think zvirikudika izvozvo. I think pandoda sponsorship. At least yekuti apana like to travel. Like I said, pane mambo kuti like pandati affiliation fee that's 3,900. Then my referees kuti awe my home games parikunzi $300 per match. Saka 300 right now tine teams 18. It's 300 times 17. Saka already maybe sandatanga kutamba bharacho ndikuda budget of $10,000 kuti riite. Ndosa njiti sometimes model wedu aisu sense kuma community teams.
Especially my community teams.
Yes, saka at the end of the day uchaona kuti vane mari ndo vacharamba chitamba bhora. Vasina mari vakwanisa kutamba chi? Saka waro happen kune munhu let's say I'll give an example munhu ari kuzumba. Munhu ari maybe kurungwe. Areas like Magunje and so.
Magunje.
Hakuna munhu anokwanisa kubva kukaisha chitamba bhora. Because kunongori nekaro United. But haisi kucover. Maybe irungo cover the
Karo in town.
Yes, but kune munhu ari down there. Achidzika kuzasi ari kuita sei. But isu takarerutsawo like ani pane mafans anobva FIFA. maybe kana wasikwanisa kuti akwanisa kudistribute kumaclubs ngavangoshandisa for maadministration ani like kunana central vashandisa iko kumazifa offices avo kuda kutorana day and day then kwatiriwo probably say 500 to affiliate so that mateams ese akwanisa kudi then the rest hazvingazomboreme kutravela kungareme but nyaya yehomberi paaffiliation 3.9 I think that's a lot of money.
And this issue yokubhadhara marifu, it's also a big issue because like you're saying, if there was this money that is maybe at regional level, if there were certain things that were subsidized, it would make things so much easier for teams. It would make things so much easier for community teams. But don't you think, especially now with the influx of these big teams that are like Scotland and Moors in the Premier League, the perception out there is Boradedu is on the up, when in actual fact, this is just a small percentage rich teams when the rest are struggling.
Disadvantage iripo, let's say referee abva kuplumbed auya kuBeitbridge ndiri kunzi timubhadhare on a match day because ndiri pahome saka ndova ndiri kuti ndopawachiona kuti sometimes away teams anouya achicomplaina kuti probably referee apuwa mari and so on but mari iya ndo mari yake macharges handiti saka ndova ndiri kuti hapana here hapazokonzereka mweka influence here ndiri kumubatsira 100 nini handitika but ndine access to give him money.
And the thing is, imi muri kumupa 300 because amunaka.
Yes.
Muri kumupa the bare minimum.
Yes.
Achazoenda kune munhu anokwanisa kumupa 3000.
Yes. Asvika kwekwe boss nensipo. Osvika oita mapikana maybe munhu weTG we club. Osvika omba mari handisi kuziva kuti mari ichi. Vachandiri kuona imari chandongoasuma kuti maybe ndiye macharges. But ndo handoti that model ngatibvisei kuti referee probably zifa ngavangobhadhara marefu. Referee ongoya akabhadharwa achingoridza odzokera. Because for me kuti ndiite ini ndotora mari then I'll pay to the referee kuti waridza game. Saka ndopaona kuti panenge that kama element kekuti probably if I want to offer him maybe more than 300 yanofana ngachipiwa. Angairamba is a human being. Angamboiramba imari.
Anenge akutoziva ka season ichitanga kuti ndakaenda kutimi kwakati ndiona mari yakawanda ava vakaomera. Nenge isiri havana inenge iri vakaomera.
Sando panozoya vamwe kuti vamwe vanozodhauta kuti but why patiri kuenda to certain club omwe tringoona same referee angaramba achingoti anogona maybe hapana mareferee but tinge chingoasuma kuti maybe arikufarira that but maybe vanhu ndozvinge zvisipo hazvisizo zviri kuitika but just assume kuti model iyo let's try to do something chisingainterfere nemareferees zvimwe zvese yes ngatiite but nyaya yemareferee hainatsoiti zvakanaka.
So you got this big platform, you're the brand manager, you're here, you're talking about Dulibadzimu FC, and what would you want? What would you want people to be their takeaway from this interview about your club?
About our club, Hombe maybe apart from soccer, there are a lot of things in Beitbridge. Like in terms of the tourism attraction and so on and so on. If you go to Nottingham, kuntorine animals ariko and so on. Unongotori muna Limpopo. The fun part of it, ndekutokatomira pa Nottingham, unongochitona South Africa. Chitona a movement from South Africa and so on, and then the animals so chichi neshumbo chitona chito and ezo kuntorine goji muna Limpopo like one. Saka ndosanje kuti pampacho it's not about sport. It's about the place, the culture of the area. Yeah, inini paneka toendeko I don't know kuti these guys vanhu vatori pose kutodaro. You enjoy kuramba uri wotodaenda katozvarirwa wangu muno Beitbridge pose these guys they are nice. Yeah, the community is all coming zvotodaro. Yeah, vanhu vatori pose.
Sajero ngopfura nemweza.
No, you experience a lot of things, especially maro areas ari mumo. Pane torine zvakawanda the culture wise and so on. So mota kutojaira kutoziva kuti okay kutone zvinhu zvakadai so chikafu chakadai so chinobikwa so anoona saka ndoza nditi through sport zvinobatsira kuti mumbodzidzawo the other culture because handitiri muZimbabwe tese yes pampacho ndosachiti our dream takaenda mupeso there are some of the things that I want to before the game vanhu vanonga vavisita tomboitawo the culture muground vachimboonawo kuti ndo zviri kuitika kuno Beitbridge.
Realistically, what is an attainable position or a top something in the coming season for your club?
Yeah, nakocha watinaika ya pane basa tinoona kutongoerekana tatopinda ndo maonera ndikaita because that guy experience and because aitombowa kuti one he was assistant to I think nyika dzino yes so munhu antozokutobhora chairo anoziva bhora
Vana adroga na shisha maripo.
No, those ones, you know, like if you look at them, wakadawa bvunza kuti challenge womberi kupano kuzoti Beitbridge. Wakati asavese T1 paeda 3 points yakasvika yakarohwa muBeitbridge. Chapungu same applies. Takatoenda kuChapungu Ascot. Takatosvika takatoirohwa muChapungu. Andikuona. Even shesha mwendoziziva kuti pane pamwe patinotokanganisa. Especially team inobva Beitbridge. Tutori panozongoti kanganiswa ndepekuti maybe pane patinozosvika palevel yekuti pasara 10 games. Because pane pakudawo serious. So manozosvika kuti okay, guys, we are playing Beitbridge. Let's say shesha no, winning bonus is $300. Panenge kamaka drive extra drive kanenge kuya. But inini manje nenda kastika manje kuti guys, inini ndakazopromise this. Let's stick to our $20 winning bonus. Saka, you know, those things, you know, pays around player inenge sina that. But no saka nchiti, I hope kuti if you get something, I promise you. Takangwana something, I'll come here nchitokudza kuti ni executive yangu kuti tadzoka muharare zvachose.
But I think something that a takeaway that I'm getting from the interview is the fact that our football right now it's not an even playing field.
Yeah.
If you don't have money, it's very difficult for you to flourish and move to the next stage.
Yeah. Especially community team. Community team, even makaenda ku northern, kuno eastern, community team yagara ndo suffer. But wakastarisa manje, ma players are no producer, ma community team, good players. They are very good players. But inyaya kungoti panongozongodaka extra motivation. Ndipo munozoona kuti uchatozoona kuti Chapungu inongona kutoramba irimo mD1 kusvikira zvatodaro.
I love the conviction. You're very convinced about your team. So hopefully things work according to plan, and we'll be talking about you chasing for the title. And hopefully sometime this season, I'll go all the way to Beitbridge.
No, I come to Beitbridge. We'll try our best to mutosvika muto enjoy Beitbridge. At our own expense. Come to Beitbridge. Definitely. We'll talk to my executive to know what our guest guys. Let's try
Beitbridge.
to. Yeah.
So I'm hoping that the whole reason why we did this show, obviously, is to give an insight into what clubs, especially those clubs, community clubs, deep in some areas in Zimbabwe face, and the obstacles they face. This is a case in point, Dulibadzimu FC, but I think it can also be very similar to most of the clubs, especially community clubs that are coming. In I remember we had superstars, we had players that we knew. These guys are really, really good. And hoping that things will change. Promises were made, especially with the incoming ZIFA board. Their president was talking about the same issue, structure of our football and trying to also emulate from Zambia. And I think it's an example that also Terrence on the show spoke about. Until the next time on The Spotlight with Yvonne Mangunda, we'll bring you another sporting personality in a different perspective. Once again, goodbye.
The views expressed by our guests in the following video are solely the opinions of our guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and or opinions of the Ola 7 podcast show. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to The Spotlight with Yvonne Mangunda. And as usual, we talk about the sporting stories. I also like to give you guests that are trending in the streets. And this week, it's no different because I'm going to talk about a story that's really, really been trending and why I brought my guest into the studio. But before that, a big thank you to Joe Scoto for continuously providing dresses for me to wear on the show and hoping that you'll be able to go to their shop. They're found at Corner Samora Machel and First Street in the CBD in Harare. So thanks a lot for providing clothing for the show. So on the show today, we are talking about a topic that's been trending. In the last couple of weeks, I brought you different supporters talking about the issue of allegiance and supporting the teams. And it seems this season there's been a transition from what we traditionally knew, where supporters stuck to one team. And this season we've seen the influx of fans that are moving to the new teams that have come into the league, most notably Scotland and Moors. And in the last couple of weeks, you remember I gave you Boban, we brought in Ogege, we brought in Chemo Fela.